Welcome to the Vision to Success Digital Marketing Workshop, how to develop the story behind your brand. These are our free regular workshops that are designed to help you take your vision and realize it into a successful business. As I was telling Catherine, I'm especially pleased with this particular one because it was the last piece in the jigsaw between working with strategy and developing your strategy and actually then turning it into content that you can then sell to you can then take to your customers. So the overall structure of this next hour will be going to have a short introduction as to who we are and what Vision to Success is all about, and then we've got the educational presentation, and there'll be a chance to ask questions at the end, but please feel free to drop in questions into the chat. It's when you think of a question, it's most likely that somebody else will have also thinking, oh, I wonder what that is. So please use chat. For those on Zoom, please comment using, for those on LinkedIn, YouTube and Facebook, please use the comments on there, and Rachel will post them into the chat, which is here, and I'll pick that up so that we're constantly answering your questions. And at the end, if there's time, we'll open up the floor. But please feel free to ask questions during it, because it does add real content to the live reality to the content. We are streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook and YouTube. If you are on those channels, you're welcome to join us in the room if you'd like. Okay, and hopefully you'll be taking away actions from today. So that's the intro. So we're here to develop the story behind your brand. Humans are inherently programmed to get information via stories, and Donald Miller published the book Building a StoryBrand, and this workshop basically is a distillation of that book turned into a process. And anybody who knows me, I love my little yellow stickies, and this is the book which we're going to be working through. There'll be another reference to it. The slide deck and recording of this presentation will be available on a link on the website visiontosuccess.co. So within, I think it's usually Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, we'll have a transcript up, and we'll have the presentation for you to download. Okay, so for those who don't know me, I'm a business and marketing coach. I've got qualifications, MBA, and I'm a chartered ICT professional, founder and managing director of Cub Limited, which is a coaching and digital marketing agency. We work with clients all around the world now, based in the centre of Manchester. Charlie joined me, my daughter joined me 7 years ago, and together with Rachel, who's on the call today, run the agency side of things. We've got a team of 8 full-time and 3 remote freelancers and we also work with partners around the world. Personally, I've worked with over 500 companies across a wide range of sectors over the last 20 years. And so I've worked in most sectors, most sizes of startup, from startup through to, I usually top out about 15 million, something like that. And I've been working with technology since 1984. And so seen it go from machines the size of this room to a device which is far, far more powerful, which you carry in your pocket. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so running speaker view during the presentation, and then when we move into, if we get a chance at the end to have a chat, reading gallery view, please, if you want to please raise your hand to contribute, or ask questions through chat. I don't mind. It's important that we get answers to your questions. Okay, so why go to this trouble? It is quite a lot of trouble. We are streaming, and there's obviously expense to all that. It's help you guys compete in the digital world, build on your existing knowledge, and help you solve your digital marketing problems. And we're currently working on some technology to go on the website that will allow us to have a community that of people, both of practitioners, people who end users who are using it, and also suppliers, so that we've got a real ecosystem that will be really supportive. And we're currently working on that technology as we speak. So what is Vision Success? Well, we've got 3 Wednesday morning workshops, 11 till 12. There's a book, Drive Sales of Digital Marketing. We've got online digital marketing courses at learning.cub-uk.net. We are very close to launching the app. It is available if you go onto the website and click on app, you can register. The last bit we're working on is the ability to do the financial analysis and budgets and forecasts, but hopefully that will be available relatively soon. It's turned out quite a bit more complex than we thought, but that's great because it means that you'll be able to plug in your numbers and out will come hopefully forecasts of what you need to, what the costs will spend. We're a consultancy, so we do provide a packaged route to market strategy and implementation plan where we basically handhold you through the whole process. Oops, mouse is a bit jumpy today. Drive Sales with Digital Marketing is the book. It's available on Amazon. If you type that into Amazon, it should come up position 3 or 4. We've got 3 chapters on the overall process, the strategies, and then 7 chapters on practical application. It's there so that if anyone's got queries about LinkedIn or doing mail shots and things like that, it's all in the book. But it's on Amazon, and you can sort of see the detail there. It's just as an ebook at the moment. We haven't got any printed versions. And we do have a WhatsApp group, so if you'd like to be kept informed sooner rather than by email, then we do have the WhatsApp group, and hopefully by Christmas we should have an online community within Vision Success website. So onto the educational presentation. Taking a look now at how we can use StoryBrand. So understanding why a story behind your brand is so important. The market out there is getting very noisy, and we are in for some serious turbulent times now with the pound crashing, bank raising interest rates. It's, you know, more people are going to be thinking, right, how do I get to these customers? How do I get more customers? And so we're going to look at the process for learning how to build your story and applying those principles to your marketing. So we need to do some fundamentals first. Why are stories important? Well, nil days, that's how people communicated. That's how many people passed information. They told the story. Nobody had paper, or paper was expensive, and so so a sort of a process for passing that information on was told through stories. And the plot generally is laid out in a chronological order, and make it easy for the viewer and reader to follow. I'm sure we've all watched those films like Matrix and things like that, where it takes quite a while to understand it. But when you're marketing to your customers, you want it in an easy to follow way. You don't need to be clever like some of the cinematographers. Okay, so need to think of the brain now, because we're going past the neocortex and going into the center of the brain when we tell a story. I want to engage with that, with the emotional side of things. So survival is a primary role of the brain. It's constantly scanning the environment for information to solve problems, seek inspiration, acceptance, affection, etc. So the primary bit we're interested in is when it's solving problems or trying to meet a desire, whether it's the latest perfume or the latest car. You know, it's thinking, right, I've got a list of these problems, and it's scanning the environment for them. So it's and great stories always pursue an endeavor to achieve one or more of those traits. So if I'm sure you've been in a networking meeting, and somebody will say, oh, what do you do? And you're sort of telling them a story. And then you can, first of all, they're interested, and then you just see them tune out, because, they've got a list of problems in their head, and what you're talking about doesn't match that list. And so it's helping you to sort of make your stories help you engage better with your audience. So hopefully they don't tune out to the important bits. And and so the best products, we all, some of you might be old enough to remember the VHS Betamax thing. The VHS just had a better story. Betamax was actually better technology, it's a videotape technology. VHS had the better story. Betamax had the better technology, but the clearest branding worked, the best story worked. So another thing to remember, people think people are logical when they buy things, but basically the emotion sells. If you think about when you buy a car now, in the old days, in the 70s and 80s, there were some real sort of bad cars out there that you had to be careful you didn't buy. Whereas these days, a lot of the cars for a particular sector, like the small SUV or the larger SUV, or the sort of other kind of ranges of cars, they're pretty much the same. I mean, I know the car makers wouldn't like me to say that, but if you look at the specs and so on, so the only thing left is emotion. And emotion plays a huge part in any sales process. If you don't connect with somebody, if you don't like somebody, if you can't, we've talked about in previous workshops the know, trust. Well, if you can't get that trust, then you're never going to sell anything. So so you've got the emotion that's selling, but then logic does rationalize, is this the right thing to do? And that's where sometimes people get caught with over analyzing or overthinking it. So you just got to remember both parts of the brain are engaged in this process. So we come to the StoryBrand. Now the text on this page is quite small, but you can download this presentation. So that I wanted to put everything in the so that you don't need to take notes. You can use the presentation as notes. So one of the big things that people forget. So I was literally reviewing a profile the other morning, and this person had talked exclusively about themselves, not about the customer. The customer is the hero in this. You are not the hero. And we're going to be talking about external and internal problems. And customers buy internal solutions to internal problems, not to the external one. And we'll dig deeper into that in a minute. You are the guide, whether you're an e-commerce shop. So I was looking for a racket, for a tennis racket for my wife. And I was looking for, so this is an e-commerce purchase. But I needed all the detail, because apparently rackets are very complex in what you use them for. And my wife is an intermediate, and she just wants to have some fun. So she needed a racket that would suit her for that. And I couldn't believe the number of rackets. But it was using that information, and the site that got the purchase was the one that gave me the best guide. So I felt confident that when I bought it, I got the racket to match what she needed. So it's not only as a consultant selling services, whether you're a car mechanic, my car needs some new drive shafts, and I was chatting to the mechanic, and after I sort of spoke to her, I felt confident that that would fix a particular problem I've got. So again, my car mechanic was a guide. I was a protagonist. I got the problem. and he's now got a solution. The car goes in, fixes it. I get my the success out of it. So if you think about it, it works in every single scenario, whether you're buying online, whether you're selling face to face. If there's no human involvement involved in the sale, then you've got to make sure that the e-commerce website works in that respect. Have they got everything they need in order to see you as the expert guide? And then obviously the challenge to take action, and so that's often asking for the sale, making sure that the button on the website is clear enough so they go, oh yes, that's what I've got to do. Customers need to be told what to do next, and you're helping them not to have a tragic ending. So for me, not breaking down on the motorway is the goal for me in terms of the car. So never assume people understand how your brand could change their lives. You have to tell them. Okay, and we're going to go through some techniques to help you do that. So, working towards the distillation of the book, customer is the lead character. The problem is the pain point solved by your product and service. You are the supplier, you're the expert guide. We've all talked in the past about doing search engine, writing lots of blogs and articles and things, and it's also down to how you design a site so the customer can get to the information they need, putting maybe frequently asked questions in, maybe using a web chat that's got frequently asked questions in, all the tools they need to ensure that they can go from finding that you can solve the problem to getting that confidence you're the expert to solve that problem. And then having clear calls to action. Donald Miller says you can't have too many calls to action. And I have seen websites that are completely clear of any calls to action, and you go, well, what are you expecting the customer to do? But hopefully after this you'll be reviewing your websites and checking that you've got plenty of calls to action. There's a phrase when you're selling something is always be closing. And that might be a test close, sort of say, asking, well, if we did this, this, and this, would that be of interest to you? Just testing the waters. You're not being pushy and not being rude, but using polite language just to find out whether that this is something of interest. Because sometimes you can spend, and we've all done it. I've done it on in exhibitions with visitors, and I've been having a nice chat and I have to wake myself up. No, sorry, stop. Here to do a job. Is this person actually going to buy? And then we'll look at success and failure. If you do a search on the internet for StoryBrand, you will come across this diagram. So I thought I'd pop it in. So you've got the character, has a problem, meets a guide, who gives them a plan, calls them to action, and then the vision is that hopefully it ends in success and avoid failure. This is broken down into a more detailed diagram, and again, you should see this again on the internet. Probably about a year ago, or maybe a little bit more, you could actually go onto the StoryBrand website, and it does mention it in the book actually. But if you go on and you could fill in one live, I suspect it's still there, but you do have to hunt for it because he's now into selling consultancy, and he's built up and you can become a certified StoryBrand consultant, and so it kind of pushes that. But somewhere on there, I think it's still, you can still get to the like the online system. You can create yourself a spreadsheet. That's what we've done. So rather than use a website, and there are people out there who are certified to do this training. So here we capture, and we're going to break these down. We capture the character in a bit more detail. We talk about the problem, and we talk about we're going to introduce you to the villain. and then meeting the guide, and we've got to show empathy and authority, giving them plan, process, and also agreements. So basically, how you're going to do it and what we're going to do for them. And then some calls to action. We'll talk about direct and transitional, and then list out what you're trying to avoid, and more importantly, what you're aiming for. And hopefully we should see a character transformation. So with respect to my car, it's not getting vibrations at high speed to a calm, comfortable, stress-free journey without the vibrations. So you can see, even in the most basic things, this process works. Okay, so step-by-step guide. Again, lots of information on here. Some of it's kind of repeating, but I wanted to try and capture all the things, because it was interesting. I've been working with a client yesterday and this morning, and trying to get them to see a particular sector, because we've done the buyer persona work, and we've realized that their buyer persona was actually different to who they think they were going to sell to. And he's still not got in his head the character, what that person's trying to do. So it's looking at what what it is that person, that buyer persona is looking for. So if we go to an example, so if we think about us selling Vision to Success, the consultancy, the high-end consultants we do, we're thinking, who is the hero to the story? Well, for us, it's a founder, entrepreneur, or business owner. They're generally running a 10 to 50 employee size business, and but not necessarily. We work with startups, but the key thing is they're looking to make a difference in their market. They're looking to change the way things are done, and they've got a clear sense of purpose. So we've done our buyer persona, and we've got a really clear. So what do they want? That's applicable to us. Well, they want sustainable lead generation for sustainable business growth. And they also, because when you're growing a business quite aggressively, you obviously got a budget, but it's a finite budget. So that budgeting, so they need a budgeted marketing plan. So and they need to be able to work out what the cost is of acquiring a customer, because that's important. If you've got an established business and it's been running along, because the cost of acquiring a customer is kind of wrapped up in lots of other things, but you can still pull out, right, what are the marketing tools that we're using to actually get a new customer. And on an e-commerce site, this is your make or break. You need to know that cost. So introduce the villain. So it's a device that storytellers use to give a conflict a clear focus. It doesn't have to be a person though, but it needs to have personified characteristics. So the villain should be the root source. So we're looking at a sort of payment system for a client's got a payment system, and the villain is customers who don't pay. Okay, so hopefully this new system will enable them to pay your credit card, and so that they will get paid faster, because somebody cutting the grass or somebody painting or doing some building work, electrician, etc., doesn't have access to normally to access credit cards. They don't want to carry all those little card readers, because that's another thing to lose. Whereas if everything's on the phone, they can then take the payment via the phone. So customers who don't pay are the villain. Customers who pay, it's fine, they pay cash, that job done. But the ones who don't pay cause people who provide trades to homes, consumers, it's a real pain. So you've got to think hard when you're thinking about what is the chief source of conflict that your products or services defeat. So in our case, Vision to Success, it's for our clients, it's competitors doing a better job. So the customers there, they want to launch a product, or they want to grow their sales, and they've got a competitor or two who are actually really doing really well with their marketing, and so they've got to, in order to be heard, and so they can sell their products and services and be seen in the marketplace, they need to, the competitor is then therefore in the storyline is the villain, is the one to beat. Because if you think about it, if there were no competitors, there'd be no marketing, no to cut through, nothing to compare against, and nobody to compete with. So you wouldn't need marketing really, because if you're the only one there, people, and we've all experienced monopolies in our lives, you don't need marketing. So the problem. So companies tend to sell solutions to external problems. People buy solutions to internal problems. So I've been interested in watching the latest sort of car adverts, and they say nothing about the actual car itself, the features and things like that. They don't try to sell the car; they sell the dream. The guy who's gone to surfing. The chap with the Kia, with the electric Kia, is dropping the wife, family, and off, and with all that sort of lifestyle for the car, so people can then relate to that, and so the people all go, yes, I can see that that's going to help me live my life better. So the going for the emotional things, not saying, well, this is a 1600 engine which does miles per gallon, etc., which they've done long ago in the past. They now sell a dream, and you'll see that. I mean, they've got very sophisticated marketing behind them, but this is the sort of thing you need to start thinking about if you're going to be successful in your own businesses. So if you look at selling vision to success, then it's about marketing. So the external problem with marketing campaigns not providing ROI, it's the return on investment that stands for, and it's that marketing noise. But internally, when you speak to people who use our services, it's because they lack the knowledge or they lack the time. They don't have anybody. So we're talking to one client at the moment where they were going to have a marketing apprentice, and it's just proved too much. They've nobody to manage them. They can't find the right people. They don't have the knowledge to manage them, and so they've come back to us and said, "Look, could you do all the things that we were hoping the apprentice could do?" And because we're an agency, we do this stuff day in, day out, so we can do it very efficiently. But so we're selling. That's what level we're selling at, not the fact that we can do marketing campaigns. They know we can do marketing campaigns. What buying offers is our ability to provide that, help them with their knowledge, time, and process. And then, of course, deep down, as every business owner has that feeling of failure of the business, because if they don't do the sales, the business will fail. So we can, without being fearmongers, we can also say, look, we've done this many times before. This is what we're going to do. This is the results we're expecting, and give them that confidence. That sorry. Okay, so come back to the customer is always the hero, and you are the guide. So your job is to show the customers the path and to help them reach their goals. And there's two ways you're going to do that. One is through empathy, so that you really understand the customer situation, and then the authority to say, well, we get you. We understand that it's difficult. I mean, I was developing a training course for our team, and soon to be launched as well for a wider audience, on how to do the strategy, how to use the brand story to convert it, and then how to do the nuts and bolts, how to make it happen. So we understand that keeping up to speed on digital marketing things is difficult, but we're going to provide the solutions on how to do it because we've got that understanding. So who's the guide in our story? So that's us in the example. We've worked with many companies, so understand the dynamics of lots of markets, and we therefore understand the challenges that are faced. And then the authority side is with many years experience. We've used proven processes, so we're big fans of books, and as any of you have been on previous ones and seen my bookshelf, it's all about the processes that are proven and actually work for companies. So 2 steps to the plan. We've got the process plan. So you've got to clarify how you help customer to do business with you, whether that's an e-commerce site or whether that's selling services of any kind or selling larger products. How do you help them? And then Miller suggests breaking it down to 3 steps. So some initial guidance. So if you're selling services, these days it's a quick call over Zoom, an introduction. And then if it's for larger projects, you'd obviously go for a meeting, face-to-face meeting. But a lot of the time now, it's just all done via Zoom. On your website, when we design websites, we always ask for testimonials, case studies, social proof. If you're a trade, you might have check a trade and things like that. If you're selling products, you've got Trustpilot. When you're going down to Amazon, people will go for the products that have got the best and most reviews. I certainly do. If it's a generic product, it just has to do whatever it has to do. Then that's how I just make my decision. Look at the price, look at the review, how many reviews, look at how many 5-star reviews, look at the profile of the reviews, and then I'm good to go. And then the agreement plan. What is the customer level? So a list of what you're going to do for your customers. So for example, with Amazon, we all know the process. We add it to the basket and get paid. But the agreement there, the fundamental agreement is, if this product doesn't work, it's fine to send it back. And I ordered a head torch for my walking in the evenings, and part of it was broken. So I said to Amazon, yeah, it's broken. They printed off a label, stuck it back in the post. It was and then refunded. It's a very clear sort of process they have. So what agreements do you put in place to support your customers? So here we have. So the process for us is we'll have initial meetings and then sign up to the implementation program. We do use the app that we're developing as part of that, and we use the app or a spreadsheet to develop a financial plan and iterate the plan so it meets their requirements. So there's a very clear process as to what we're doing in our quotations. It's really clearly written out, and it's been tried and tested many times. And our agreement is that we will spend time understanding the client's requirements and to capture the right info. And then on the client side, because it can be a two-way thing, they've got to be prepared to understand the financial model and work with us to refine it so it meets their requirements. And you should be able to do the same for your business. How do you onboard your clients? And then what do you agree to do for them? And make these explicit. So 2 calls to action. So you've got those people who go, yep, I'm Dickie and I'm just going to go ahead. And then you've got those that you want to think about it a bit more. There may be reflectors, there may be theorists, and these are learning styles, or there might be on the Myers-Briggs, might be a P perspective. So they want to think about it a bit more. So you need 2 routes for them. So we've now just the other day launched a pay-per-click campaign for our route to market product, for our route to market service consultancy. And now next to the call to action button to book a diary, because what we were finding, people were clicking on the link to go to book an appointment in the diary and then getting cold feet. So we're getting quite a lot of conversions, but then nobody actually placing the appointment. So we now have a sort of like a button that's not quite so prominent. Next to it says download our guide on best marketing strategies, because when we looked at our pay-per-click campaign and we've got the keywords best marketing strategies, people were clearly clicking on that. So we wrote a very comprehensive guide on how to develop best marketing strategies. That turns into a guide, and that's now there to transition. So they've got a call to book a call type button, or you can, for example, on the e-commerce site, you might have a buy button, but then you've got links to the a video on how to install it. So you've got to think about all things you can assist with that purchase. And remember that not everybody's going to buy directly. They're not always going to go to your call to action. So give them other transitional things they can do to learn more about you, because they're the type of person who wants that additional information, and you've got to make it very easy for them. Otherwise, you'll just go to another website where it is easier. So, as I said, we have a sign up. We have on our route to market page, we have a sign up button using Calendly, which is basically a link to the diary, or people can go and buy the book. But then we've also got, they can watch a previous workshop, they can sign up to one of our up and coming workshops, or they can download the guide. And I say the button's right next to it, so you've got the direct call to action and the transitional call to action on the same page. It's very important in a story to show what success looks like, and that addresses our internal problem. And I say recent car adverts are a great example of that. They say nothing about the car. They paint a picture of what the lifestyle that car will give them, or envision to give them. And they don't tend to dwell on the negative, but sometimes you have to mention what they're avoiding. So in our case, in our example, have an implementable plan that's costed and agreed as meeting the budget, feeling confident that the increased sense of security that the sales will start to grow, and that the future of the business is secure. So we've addressed the external, internal, and philosophical. And what they're trying to avoid is being stuck in a rut and don't know how to get out of it, stagnant sales or slow falling and the slow lingering demise. So we're going to think about the character transformation. So what was the situation at the start, and paint a picture of what it would look like following the product or purchase. Now, if you go to this link, thepowerofmba.com, I love this template that they've put together, because it really forces you to think about your story. So at company, we know that you want to be and then what that transformation is you're looking for. In order to do that, you need to whatever that customer is, to solve the problem. Problem is what the external one, which makes you feel, which is the internal one, which is the thing you've got to sell to. We believe in whatever, and I'm a huge fan of Simon Sinek, Start With Why. So if you want to understand what your underlying beliefs are, watch that video and figure out your why. Our why is to help companies grow. That's why we do this stuff. And then a step-by-step plan, and then you can stop failure instead of success. I say this blog was quite a good blog, and that's where I got this from, which I thought was quite useful. So ours is here. I'll let you read it on the the slide deck, but basically all the bold is, so that's us. We want to help you be a successful entrepreneur. You need a detailed cost of marketing plan to do that. There's a huge amount of competition around, so that's the villain, which makes you feel vulnerable. That's the internal problem, and then the philosophical problem. And then we believe in our purpose. The challenge is forced by business experience, competitive markets. That's from the face. That's the empathy. And then you've got our action plan. And then we've got the process for onboarding, and then and also in the meantime. So that's the call to action, and that's transitional. And then we can do the character transformation, so we can stop performing sales and help you grow your business. So you can see, it takes a bit of work, but you can weave your story into that. Now, obviously, if you're in a network, that's a bit tricky face to face. You can't remember all that for a start. So we've all, if anybody attended the Wednesday morning workshops I used to run, and we used to talk about the elevator pitch, in Donald's book, he calls it a one-liner. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing. Here you've got a busy sort of executive, they're in the lift, this is your opportunity to make the difference. So, what can you say in a short period of time that's going to get their attention? Because they're busy, they're distracted, but this is your opportunity, okay? And you've got about 17 words to do this in, because they're off again. Out of politeness, they'll listen to you for 30 seconds, if you like. So Donald suggests distilling it down to what the character is, what the problem is, what the plan is, and what success looks like. And you should be able to spin that out quite quickly. So ours is, we help growth-focused entrepreneurs who need to cut through the marketing noise. So the person, the problem, the solution, the vision. What success looks like. And that's something that you could remember. So if somebody says, what do you do? Instead of saying I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, etc., you can say, well, we help growth-focused entrepreneurs who need to cut through the marketing noise using a proven process that help you to grow your business. It's really tight and short. And they go, oh, how do you do that? Which is what you want. Because you're not trying to sell anything. You just want them to be curious. And then they say, because you've not told them the details of how, you go, oh, how do you do that? So, and then you've got a conversation. So we have implementation. So this is the bit I sort of like. So we've got that theory, we've got our story, but how do you make it work? So we're going to look at a couple of examples. Donald reckons you work at using everything, and I agree with it. I think that's so that's everything you write about your business. Now it's interesting. I've been around a bit, and we used to call AIDA attract, interest, desire, action, because it used to be the formula for writing an email, for writing what we now call a snail mail letter. Those things you put in the post, and you'd always have an attention-grabbing headline, which we used to refer as attract. But when I was doing the research, this can be either attention or awareness. There's sort of two words for the A, but it doesn't matter. Basically, you're saying you're getting someone's attention. Then you're developing their interest, desire, and action. Now, until I came across Donald's book, there was no actual, right, okay, what does that actually mean in practice? So Donald's book helps us really with this, because we can now tell a story. We've got a structure for telling a story. So on our website landing page, we've got the attention-grabbing headline, the one-liner statement. Because some people have short attention spans, we put an offer in, and more we're putting a video up as well, along the same storytelling line structure, and then our call to action. And then as you scroll down the page, you've got the problem and you agitate that problem. So you talk about the external problem initially, hey, you need a new car, but hey, you need something that will give you security in the event of an accident, is easy to park because it's got self-parking, etc. So you're sort of pulling out, you've got the features, what are the benefits, and how does that meet with their internal needs? Then there's usually some kind of credibility statement. Hey, we've been building these cars for years. What is the offer? Well, it's interesting when I was playing around with car configurations, because obviously at some point I'm going to get a new car. And it's interesting how quickly now they take you, when you get your summary, they take you to the finance page, because everybody, I guess, must these days buy personal payment plans and things like that. So they're straight into the calculator. So they're straight into the next stage, straight into that sort of, that's their call to action. And then at the end of it, what's that future state? And lots of testimonials. If your website doesn't have testimonials on it, you need to go and get your web developer to put those on there. You can get little carousels which just sort of flick through them, so you don't have to, or you can, some people use logos, sort of say these are our clients. So it depends on the business and so on. And then we got the landing page video. We are doing more videos, and so you have some kind of a problem, some attention grabbing intro that with the key issue that resonates with the viewer. So they go, oh yeah, I can really relate to that. Because if they've not related to the video, if they're not related to the fact that they're the character and the hero, the hero in the story, they're going to switch off. And then you've got to build that understanding as the guide. So in the video, you've got to sort of churn it up a bit or agitate it and say, well, talk about the internal problems, talk about the philosophical problems, and then introduce yourself a guide. Hey, this is what we do. This is our expertise. This is what we plan. This is how we sort of plan to get you out of this. And then the call to action. And then at the end, sort of showing the success, that future state of where they are. So they come out of it. So they've been drawn into the story. And because what you want them to do is watch it right to the end, because that's where your call to action is. That's where that future state is, and they've got to buy into that. So we've all got to, say, become better storytellers. So bringing it all together now, I think buy the book. It's very easy to read. It took me a day, and then obviously several days to actually then pull out everything you've seen in the slide and then do the work with the clients and so on. But I do have a spreadsheet, so if you want to email growth@cub-uk.com, happily send you the spreadsheet we use. It's really basic, guys. It's nothing. It's a take 10 minutes to knock one up in a spreadsheet, but we've got one already that we use as part of the program with our clients. Eventually, it will be in the app, but that's going to be post-Christmas. Complete the StoryBrand for your business. Complete the template that we showed you from the MBApower.com, and then refine that into one-liner, and then practice that one-liner at your networking. Not everybody's a fan of networking, but if you do go to one or two networks and in person, it does give you a chance to practice this stuff before you sort of spend money on websites and brochures and things like that. Actually test it out. Have you got that one line right? Does it grab their attention, or do you see them glaze over and look somewhere else? And then once you've tested it, test, then introduce into your marketing copy. So has everybody like to let me know what they're going to take away from today? We want to comment, ask questions.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I realise that the customer is not always the hero of my marketing. So that's something I can look at straight away. I really get that. So yeah, very, very enjoyable indeed. Thank you. And I'll certainly email you and grab your templates and get into it.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Andrew. Thank you. Anybody else like comment, questions? Got a few minutes left.
Hi, it's Jason. I think it's a good kick up the backside for me because to put it bluntly, do you do anything on sort of business capability modelling in terms of that sort of level of sort of strategy? You know, from a business perspective, in sort of aligning.
You say capability. How do you mean?
Creating. Well, one of my background is I'm a business architect and a program manager. So when you're designing a business, you actually look at the capabilities that the business wants to achieve.
Yes.
And sort of just frameworks on that side of stuff. One of the things for me in particular that I'd like to sort of get your opinion on is I'm looking at setting up my own business.
Okay.
I'm brand new from that particular perspective, and I like what you were saying about testimonials. The point is, I've got 18 testimonials. What I was from people I've worked with in the past, senior people on LinkedIn. However, I actually don't have my own business, so therefore, how would you actually get testimonials? Or because that seems to be quite an important sort of a starting point.
Well, okay, so testimonials on LinkedIn, if it's on your personal one, are personal to you. Well, I presume you'll be part of the delivery mechanism within your own company. You're not going to go hire get a bunch of money and hire people, are you? So
no, I don't have it.
So those testimonials are yours. They're about you. So there's no problem saying, I mean, some of them will say, Jason did this for me. Well, you can put that on the website. That's absolutely fine, because they are testimonials about the work you've done. May not necessarily be set for this company, but it's you're starting a business. It's all about you. So just picking up on the capabilities thing. So what we do is in the spreadsheets, which we use at the moment, and the app, which is in development, we think of the capabilities as the resources, the marketing resources. So your website, your email, your social media, your PPC, all those are different capabilities within the business, and you then assign cost to those. So we do the modeling, if you like, in the marketing part. And the app should be available. I'm kind of hoping in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's what I'm looking at is what I'm doing is slightly different to that, but in terms of the capabilities. So I look at it in terms of what capabilities do you need and what are the gaps. Okay, I then look at it through different frameworks such as Polism, as it's called, which actually looks at, for instance, the value chains, organisations, locations, information systems, suppliers, management, and all that good stuff. So it looks at it through lots of different angles to actually then be able to put your plans together of what you're trying to do. So it's looking at it from more the sort of business level and sort of that side, as opposed to just the pure marketing.
Yeah, we just do it on the pure marketing front.
So
I can't imagine the models that you're talking about are way more complex, but this is just purely for the marketing, because people don't do that on the marketing. They'll go, I'll have a bit of website, I'll have a bit of social media, and we go, well, where's it joined up? So we're working with a client at the moment that they've not got a huge amount of money, so we want to really make sure what we're going to do with them is super focused, and we're looking at the gaps that are really important gaps, because there are lots of gaps, but we're going to say, right, these are important gaps, and these are how we're going to fill them. And that's where our model comes in, because it then allows you to do a costed budgeting plan.
Okay, thank you.
So it's sort of,
it's similar.
I
mean, I actually look at the capabilities in slightly different ways. So in similar to what you're saying, which ones are standard, which ones are going to give you a competitive advantage, which ones are going to be divergent. So we sort of classify it, that sort of approach.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. I love that sort of modelling. I'm a bit too old to get into it now, but
Yeah.
So we've kind of done it on the marketing bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
yeah, no worries. Thank you, Jason. Great questions. Great questions. Anybody else before we finish off? No. Okay. So we are coming up to 12 o'clock. So start again. Very many thanks to everyone attending today. I hope you found it useful. The recordings and transcripts will be on the website the next day or so, and a link will be sent out to everyone who has registered today. In 2 weeks' time, I'm delighted to say that on October the 12th, we'll have a guest speaker, Jess Knowles, who we work with. She's done some branding work for us, and hers will be on how to get more clarity, control, and profit on using your brand. Jess will be helping us stop gambling with our marketing budgets, and she'll show us some of the activities that she's had when working with the likes of Disney, Special K, Apple, and share what they have in common with smaller companies, and helped. And she will show us how to increase profits by more than 25%. So by the end of the session, you will hopefully come away with some ideas to help you attract and keep more loyal customers. To find out about more events, go to the event section on Vision to Success. And I look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks' time. And thank you very much. Thanks, guys.